I've been playing a lot of Autonauts recently and it's got me thinking. For those who don't know, Autonauts is a game where you colonise a planet by building houses, farms, bakeries, storage and all manner of other things primarily to support the colonists you grow from seeds. At first you'll do this by hand, but it's mostly done through the use of robots. Early in the game you gain the ability to build robots, which you can then program to complete certain tasks to make your overall progress faster. You can then build more robots to make the first robot's task easier, and so on and so forth until you have an entire civilization of robots. Let's look at an example. One of the first loops you'll set up is for logging. I had one bot chop trees down, one bot collect the logs, one bot dig new holes, one bot to collect the seeds, one bot to plant the seeds, and one last bot to collect twigs. This is pretty solid at first, but eventually the bots will run out of charge. Now you could go around and recharge them each time, but it'll be more efficient to build a bot to charge the bots for you. Also, tools break over time, so you'll maybe want to build a bot to build new tools for them. Then you need bots to collect the things to make the tools, and bots to build the things you need to build the tools, and more bots and more bots and more bots, it's bots all the way down. So what's the point of all this then? Well, like I said, it got me thinking. Are these robots alive? Obviously they're purely digital, so they wouldn't be alive in that sense, but what if they were real? What's stopping them from being alive? What is life? The simplest form of life is, in some ways, the most complicated. In some respects, you wouldn't even say they were alive. A virus is a collection of DNA contained within a protein shell. They don't sleep, they don't need to eat, which thoroughly confuses me by the way, and function only to replicate themselves. To do this, they latch onto the cells of larger organisms and inject their genetic material inside. The cell then becomes a sort of virus factory until it explodes, releasing more virions. The cells don't always burst, sometimes the virus just kind of leaks out of the side, but the bursting is what you'd more commonly associate with the process. If that's the only criteria for life, then the robots are more than capable of that, at least as a group. I currently have a setup where 3 bots work together to make another robot, which is then stored by a 4th bot until it's needed. I think most people would have more criteria for life than just can reproduce though, so what else is there? Bacteria similarly only really exist to reproduce, which they do in a multitude of different ways, but they also require food to do it. Some will eat other bacteria, some plant matter, some photosynthesize, but they all gather energy in some way. The robots require energy to work, and at first you'll be responsible for charging them, but you can easily set up a group of robots who will patrol the map, charging all of your bots, making them basically self-sufficient. I think the clearest comparison though is to a colony of ants. Each ant in a colony has a specific role, from the queen and flying ants which form the initial colony and breed, to the worker ants which will build the colony structure, find food, tend the larvae, and finally the soldier ants which will protect the colony. Where ants choose their roles based on age and their personal preference, however, the robots are expressly given their tasks by you. Ants will also share knowledge between them to solve issues which the robots cannot. In my opinion, this is the biggest hurdle in the way of these robots being alive. While they can complete any task you assign them, they are forever incapable of setting their own tasks or solving issues that may arise during their work. Without these abilities, the robots are completely useless on their own, or even as part of a hive. You can form a setup where you make a robot teach a robot how to do an existing robot's task through the use of data storage objects, but there would never be any room for progression there. Now obviously this is a video game filled with fake robots. I know they're not alive. But honestly, how much separates them from being alive? I don't think many people would think of a robot as alive until it was sufficiently human-like, both looking and acting like anyone else might. I think that's clearly unfair, and goes against the points we've put forward here. For me, there's a pretty clear checklist for life. Reproduction, the overarching goal of creating more of your species. Consumption for energy, the need to eat, continue your life. And decision making, the ability to choose what tasks to do and solve problems when they may arise. I would argue that if you met these 3 base criteria, you're alive. In that case then, no, right now robots simply aren't. Some robots will be used to build new robots, and some will be able to make basic decisions, but at best they can fulfill 2 of the 3 criteria. But I don't think it'll be too long until you can get a Roomba that will replicate itself when it's near the end of its life cycle, and at that point, who are we to say they're not living creatures? Special thanks to my board members Heaven Over Hell, Justin Wood, Hobbs, Koopy Vegeta and Gunrunner.